Did you not start it or?
Okay, no. But when I started, my apologies to those who are online. We've lost control of the screen share, which means I can't control what you see. I think you've probably seen an animated character there, and that's all you can see. So what we're going to do, we're going to record the presentation in different software and make it available afterwards. Okay? No, that's the thing. All the scene is this. I've tested this numerous times. I've never had this.
But we've always had trouble at this library.
Well, if those who are still online, I'm using a product called Webinar Jams for this presentation. Now, during testing, it showed that there was one major problem, that is the time delay. From the time you, in theory, can see me to the time you see me is about 30 seconds. So based on that, not a big problem, but if you have any questions, you should still be able to send your questions through. We'll answer those at the end. Okay, so I think that'll be the best way to handle that. And at that, sit there and enjoy the animated character. Sorry about that. All right, so what I want to do is introduce Lisa Macqueen. As you all know, she was the winner of the what's it called? I've got the trouble for getting this wrong, the Infusionsoft Small Business Icon. So it just rolls off the tongue. As compared to the Ultimate Marketer, which everyone anyway. So Lisa, I had a chat with her this afternoon. She was great that she agreed to come and do this a couple of weeks ago, and we finally got in contact with each other this afternoon. And I just wanted to ask her a few things. And one of the things I wanted to ask was just how many people entered this competition. And your answer was what, hundreds and hundreds? Hundreds and hundreds. Okay. Now, just to give you an idea just how amazing this, what Lisa's been able to achieve, is that this is the first time an Australian has won this award. I think first time Australians have made it to the finalist, and first time an international intro. And on your
First woman.
First woman.
Oh,
Okay, so what I'll do now is I'm going to play a short demo, a short intro video for those who didn't see it on the live stream.
It was in school holidays and we watched this with my kids. My kids were all around. They were excited for you as well.
Cleancorp is a national janitorial service and we're based in Sydney, Australia. But before Infusionsoft, we didn't have any processes. Everything seemed to fall through the cracks. It was a business that was growing, but it didn't have any systems in place to support it. After we put Infusionsoft into Cleancorp, all of a sudden we had these awesome systems and processes which we designed for every different scenario within our business. And things changed. It was magic. We had a definite disconnect between our clients and our janitors. We created a campaign using send-out cards, personalised cards from the janitor with a photo of the janitor on it, a little bit about him. And what we found when we put that into place, it was phenomenal because all of a sudden they knew each other, and Infusionsoft helped us with that. Our business has grown by 575% since we began using Infusionsoft. Today, I'm out of here by 5 o'clock. It's fantastic. I get to spend more time with my family.
Yeah, the puppy definitely won.
Lisa Macqueen?
Yeah, great. Okay, you want me to stand up and get started? Wow, this is fantastic to see so many of you here coming out tonight. I really appreciate it. And look at how much we've grown. There's a lot of you here who've been in the room with us since the user group, since Richard started the user group, and we started really small, and it's just wonderful to see so many new faces here, and obviously new users to Infusionsoft, which is awesome. So today, I think everybody wants to sort of hear a little bit about the story behind how Cleancorp, my business, came to be one of the finalists for the Small Business Icon Award. And so I'll share that with you, and like feel free to ask me any questions as we go along. So it sort of started, for me personally, it started a couple of years ago. I went to InfusionCon, which is what it was called, 2 years ago at the Arizona Biltmore. And to be perfectly honest with you, it was a bit of a jolly, because I'd said to my husband, look, there's this, this InfusionCon marketing, small business marketing conference going on in Arizona. We haven't had a holiday for quite a long time. We can, put it through the business, it'll be good. And we honestly, I'm being totally honest with you, we said, we'll go in for the first hour. We'll just go in and hear that opening, the opening of the event, and that'll be it. So we fly over to Arizona, stay at this gorgeous hotel where the event's being held, and like magic, and we're all there. We're all there. We're at the Arizona Biltmore. Thank you for the theme music. So we went into Clayton Mask, the CEO of Infusionsoft. We went in and he did the opening keynote, and he sort of had us from there. We stayed for the next 3 days. We went into every single session. I mean, they've got different tracks running through the session, but back then there weren't as many tracks as what there are today.
Half as many.
Half as many. So we went to, we virtually had no time by the pool, which was not our initial intention. Our initial intention was to have a lot of time by the pool and virtually no time in the conference room. But we went there, and what we found was that the people who were at that event were entrepreneurs just like us, were small business owners just like us, who had problems just like us. And we met a lot of people who had great solutions, great ideas. And it just, I don't know, it was electrifying. And we felt like we couldn't afford not to go to Icon. And at that first one, they had Iron Tribe Fitness up there. They had a few, the small, at the top it was called the Ultimate Marketer Competition. And that year, Iron Tribe won. And when they were up there, all I could think of was, I want to be up there one day. I want to be sharing the story about my business and our struggles and how difficult it's been. One day I want to be up there. So, but that's a long way away. The next year, we went to the Scottsdale Western, which is where InfusionCon was held last year. And it was bigger and better than the previous year, with a whole lot more people. I met Linda there. And it was a great event. And I was fortunate enough to be invited to a private lunch, which was being held by Clayton Mask. And at that lunch, there were 10 of us, 10 users that they randomly, I don't know how they selected us, but they randomly selected. And at the end of the lunch, I went over and I thanked Clay, and I shook his hand and I looked him in the eye and I said, I'm going to be up on that stage next year. And he just smiled and laughed and shook my hand and went, yeah, right, sister. And I don't even know if he remembers that conversation. We didn't have much of a chance to go over those old times this time. But I had set the intention that was what I wanted to do. And I feel like that's really what got me started. I also met last year Jermaine Griggs, and I said the exact same thing to him. And I felt like, okay, after that, I have to go for it. So when the competition opened in, I think it was late November last year, I hummed and sort of hard about it, and then I thought, no, I think we're ready. I think what we've done is enough, to show them that we're using Infusionsoft and we're using it in a lot of different ways. And so I put the presentation together. Now, that presentation, Vicky will attest to this, it took me about 40 hours to put that presentation together. And that was 40 hours of writing, thinking about it, and deliberating on it, yeah. And when I went to put the presentation in, I sent them an email because you have to do it like as a sort of like an online survey type thing. So I'd fill in a page and then I'd hit next and I could not get back to the last page. So I sent Infusionsoft an email and said, at the end of all this, am I going to be able to go back and review? Oh, yes, they said, yes, absolutely. You'll be able to review, no problem. So I get to the very end of the submission, I hit the final submit button, and boom, it's gone. I can't review anything. I can't check for spelling mistakes. I can't check for grammar. I can't change a thing. It's gone. So I had a mild little panic attack about that, but I thought, okay, I just have to let it go. And they had set milestone dates in the application, so I knew that, I think it was by the 5th of January, they were going to let finalists know, and I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear anything on the 5th of January, 6th of January, 7th of January. I didn't hear a word until the 14th of January. And by this stage, of course, I thought, oh well, that's it. I'm not a finalist, I'm not a, you know, I didn't get through, oh well, at least I had a go, you know, didn't think anything more of it. So that was, so it was a Saturday, and I'd been out in the morning, and I came home, and my phone was ringing, and I saw it was a no-caller ID. I hate those no-caller IDs on a Saturday. It's like, got to be a telemarketer, right? And I looked at it and I thought, okay, I'll answer it. And it was Infusionsoft. And poor Lizzie Macqueen, who's one of the event organisers, she lost her hearing for 3 days after because I was so excited about when she told me that we'd been selected. I thought we may have been selected as a best in class because there's also 7 best in class finalists. And I said, oh, so which class did we get into? And she said, oh no, you're not a best in class. Oh, and I still didn't think that we would have been a finalist. And I said, oh, so what are we? And she goes, you're one of the finalists. And that's when the screaming and the crying started. And it took me weeks to come down off the cloud of just being overjoyed that my dream was, you know, I was on my way. The sad part was a couple of days later, or a couple of weeks later, we had a user group meeting, and I couldn't share it with anyone. I had to keep it on the download.
How long did you spend?
I knew for 3 months before I could tell anyone. Yeah. No, I couldn't tell anyone. And when we were doing the certified partner training, Cara and Mark obviously they knew, and so we just sort of had an agreement that like just don't talk to me, just let's not talk to each other as little as possible because we didn't.
Did Vicky know?
Vicky knew, of course Vicky knew.
Fine then.
But we couldn't blow it. we couldn't blow it, and they didn't want to blow it either, so we had to keep it really quiet. And I was just so happy when finally the press release went out, and it was like, oh, what a relief. Now I don't have to keep this great big secret anymore. And then from that moment on, it was organising the presentation. And I'm not a public speaker. I'm a business owner. I'm an entrepreneur, but I am not a public speaker. And my husband, Hamish, who couldn't be with us tonight, we wanted to do the presentation together. So initially they told us we had 30 minutes to tell our story. So each of the 3 finalists get 30 minutes in front of, at that time we thought it was going to be a crowd of 5,000. It ended up being about 3,500, something like that. So Hamish and I were like, okay, all right, we need to get our heads straight. We need to start writing this presentation. And let me tell you, it's not as easy as you think. There are so many, so many ups and downs and changes and practices and what have you. But we did it, and we were diligent about it, and we worked every weekend for virtually 2.5, 3 months to get that presentation done. Now, I don't know how many of you saw the live stream presentation, but let me tell you, not everything went to plan.
That's what's so good about it.
Yeah.
That's right, exactly. Yeah.
So we did our best, and I think that what resonated with the people in the crowd was that we weren't perfect, we weren't professional speakers, we were Australian.
That was the big thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of people they really could feel that our story and where we'd come from and how hard it had been in the early days really resonated with them in their own journeys, and because every single small business owner is, well, very few I've ever met have had an easy go in the beginning. And so when we finished the presentation, like I said, it didn't go to plan. I left a lot of stuff out because there's this great big timer staring back at you as the presenter, tick, 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 and you've got this much time. We lost a little bit of time in the first part of the presentation, so I was really mindful that I needed to get through certain points in my presentation. So I got through all of it, and then at the end there's 2 screens, so you can see what the next shot is. It's coming up on your PowerPoint, and there's the shot of my children about to come up. And I knew that they were watching us on the live stream, and I sort of choked up. And anyway, again, it was just one of those things. It was just that moment in time. When it was all over, massive relief and heaps of champagne later, with a lot of people. Well, Ozzy, with Linda, the people who used it, Christine.
How many were there?
Barry, yeah. But there are a whole lot more. I mean, there were 101 Australians there, which was fantastic. So
2 years ago, there was 8 Australians
That's huge.
yeah,
at the Australian table.
was it 8?
8 at that Fillmore table.
Okay. Yeah, so it's really it's really great, and it was great for us to be there and to really have that enormous amount of support of our peeps were in the room with us, and that meant a lot to us. And yeah, so after that we had 24 hours of nervous, waiting. I don't think we were as nervous though, because once we'd done the presentation, it was like, whew, okay, that's done. The hard part's done. But standing up there waiting to hear who had won after that was when I came out onto the stage with Hamish for that. I had this lump in my throat and my heart was pounding, and I thought my legs were going to buckle underneath me because it was nerves, it was adrenaline, it was everything.
How many is in the audience?
Oh,
3,500.
About 3,500.
And then all the people online.
Yeah, all the people watching, and I wasn't even thinking about the people, other than my own family watching. I wasn't really thinking about that, but the people watching us, it was amazing, and we got a lot of encouragement. And I guess what I'd share with all of you is that if this is something that you're interested in pursuing, with Infusionsoft becoming, putting your head into the ring at some point to be the small business icon going forward, I would really encourage you to do it, because the feeling of, oh gosh, yeah, I think we finally made it. It's a nice feeling after so many years of struggling and having ups and downs, getting new contracts, losing contracts, all those things that as business owners we go through those hurdles every single day. And I guess for us that was our one day in the sun. I said in our presentation that our business, our industry is boring. Nobody cares about cleaning. Nobody. And so for 3,500 people to be, leaning into what we were saying, to feel that, when we said to them that we didn't like the way that our staff were treated like they weren't important people, that they didn't fulfill an important role, that was something that as business owners and people, we felt like we needed to change that. Vicky's going to show you a little bit about how we did that, but it was a simple card that we put into our process that started to change the way our clients interacted with our cleaners. And I think that, I mean, I'd love to think that, you know, that sort of made a difference to our cleaners' lives as much as it has to, you know, the results for us, because yeah, it's a small thing, but it was an important thing. So,
Right, we'd like to do the campaign first, or do you want
I don't know.
Let's do the campaign. Let's do the campaign.
Okay,
We'll do all the
I
Q&As
might
at the
get
end.
Vicky to
Sure.
run you through.
Well done, Lisa.
Lisa, do you know what the votes were?
Yeah.
They were pretty convincing. I didn't have a single person say they voted for anyone but you guys, even before they heard my accent. Everyone's like, oh, did you see the Australians? And I'm like, g'day, yeah, I did.
Well, I canvassed, remember the night, like I must have asked 30 or 40 lots of people when I was in the live, wherever I was, that night, and they all went, the Aussies, you know, they say it, or the cleaners, or clean away, or whatever they were calling it, many different things.
Yeah, yeah. No, I know Linda sent me a text message very late on Wednesday night saying, Lisa, everyone I've spoken to, I've asked everyone and they're all voting for you. So,
30 or 40 people I knew, and I think, you know, like everybody knew within about half an hour that
When
that
no
you
one
guys
says
were
to me they voted for the soccer guy or the other people, I can't remember who they were. It's pretty convincing.
Yeah, but it was like that last year with the dentist.
Yeah.
Like everybody we spoke to had voted for the
yeah,
dentist.
but they changed the voting this year. So last year the voting was done by Facebook, and what happened was, you know, you could, I mean, we all thought the dentist should win, the orthodontist should win, but that didn't happen. This year they tried to make it a bit fairer, and so they made it by text message.
We had to use a lot of Americans' phones, the Australians.
Yeah. Well, I found out that, like, the vote that I put in, because we, you know, as international, all of us with international phones, they weren't working. And so someone told me from the guys, the social, was it Social Fuse?
Yeah, the
Social Fuse.
Yeah, Social Fuse said, come to the stand in the hall, and you can register your own vote. And so that's what we did, and I think they did that with a lot of people.
No, but you
yeah,
plus-
thanks, Barry.
+1, and then that worked.
Did it work?
Yeah, it totally worked.
Okay, so I'll let Vicky go through this.
Wow, that's
This is a campaign unaffected by the tag bug, because I did. I'm just telling you that, okay? Because I did something else so that it takes basically, you see all these stop points here, just to explain, because it looks more complicated than it is. This campaign actually runs over a couple of months, and we stop the campaign if they're not a customer anymore. So at every point, just before we run the next sequence, we check to see if they're a customer.
Before we go into the sequence, just at a top level, what is this?
So this is our new customer welcome
New
campaign.
customer
So
welcome.
a customer has said, yes, we want to sign up with you, at which point we fill in an internal form here with lots of details about costing and who's going to do the job, and when it's going to start, things like that. And then when we submit that form, this campaign runs.
And just at a paragraph, what does it do at a top level?
At a top level, it
Does everything.
passes all the
That's really
it
good.
sings, it dances,
Does
it
everything.
passes all the information to the customer that they need, all the information to the cleaner that they need, all the information to our accounts department that they need, and it also stays in touch with the customer over the first 3 months of their life with us, so that we are remaining in their mind, because that's the important thing for us as a cleaning company. So the bit where the cards happen are in here, where it says welcome the new customer, and in here where it says Hamish welcome card and gift. And we use send out cards and both of these actually go out to the customer at different points.
what do they look like inside this? Oh,
Oops, I'm in there. lots of other things happen. So the customer gets an email with all the details that we were talking about before, like when the contract starts, how much they're going to be paying per week, who their cleaner is. This is the task for the accounts department. This is tagging for us about them being a customer and not a prospect.
What does the task send to the accounts? Does that
It
send
sends to our
details?
accounts department, so it doesn't send anything to MYOB, it sends it to our finance
Just
manager.
sends them the information.
Yeah, just says, we've got a new contract, this is how much it is per month, you need to set it up in
Oh, okay.
MYOB. So we even automate a lot of our manual tasks, if you see what I mean, so that people have to do those tasks, and then it does other things as well. So we're applying a tag to say they're a customer, we're removing a tag to say they're a prospect, and then in here, we are send out cards, the information for them to send a real card out to the customer.
Does anyone not know what send out cards are?
Why do you send out cards and not just do it yourself?
Hang on,
Way too
hang
much
on.
work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hang on. So does anyone want an explanation of what send out cards are? Yeah.
I've got a few here I can show you.
So this is just,
My name is Vicky. We'll just
yeah.
So this just goes to one point in the customer?
Yes. Yeah, this one here, this is just the code to send out cards, to trigger the cards.
So can you see the email address it sends to? automator@internetautomator.com. That is an automated service that sends out cards that receives that information and uncodes it, so it will have the first name, last name and company name. It goes into their system, does some amazing magic and outspits an envelope and a card.
Like magic.
Okay. So send out cards is exactly what it says. It's just normal cards and by the user, really.
Like a postcard,
But
essentially.
Yeah.
No,
exactly. You
like
have different types of cards.
Yeah, it's a card in an envelope.
Okay. And it's a highly automated system where you just send them all the information you want automatically, and they coordinate the printing of the card, the addressing of the card, the envelope, even the Australian stamp, and then send it out, including an option to have presents attached to the card.
But don't they come from the States? I saw they were.
No, they're in Australia as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
How much does that service cost, Lisa?
They're 31 cents a card.
And
But
Lisa
you have to pay
uses
Plus
monthly.
the
this.
postage.
Plus the
So
postage.
31 cents a card plus the standard postage for a card.
But do you have to pay a monthly fee to be in it, or?
No, we just
No.
pay, we just top up. So you buy points and you buy postage.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
enormously
let's do
powerful.
that.
So you don't.
So the link to send out cards you put together yourself, or you actually pay another service?
We pay, it's an API link through Internet Automator, and that's the cheapest way to do send out cards. That's the cheapest API to use. It's $14.95 a month worth of retainer.
Oh, so that's what you're paying for, the internet automated, not send out cards themselves?
No,
Yeah.
no. But we send out a lot of cards, so it would be impossible for us to do this ourselves.
And we forget.
Yeah.
That's the thing, we're so busy we forget. Whereas this, it goes
never
to them
forgets.
every time, it never forgets.
And just a question, how impactful has this been for you? This send out card component alone.
People ring us up to say thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for your comment. We used to send out, we were sending out, what was it? Melting moments
Yeah.
from Hamish. So another part of the sequence, further on, Hamish will welcome a new customer, and we were sending out these lovely boxes of really nice melting moments. But then they ran out of those, so I thought, oh, okay, probably because we've sent so many. So we changed it up and we made it a coffee card from Gloria Jeans and brownies. And I mean, every time they arrive in someone's on someone's desk, we get an email back going, oh wow, thanks Hamish. So it resonates with people. They feel like we've made an effort, and that's what it's all about.
And you won't even know that it's happened. It's been sent out.
Yes, I don't even know. Hamish gets all these emails. It's like, I'm a rock star. I'm sending out all these stuff. People are thanking me day and night. But it's all happening behind the scenes. It's all automated.
So this one here that we've got at the moment, it's all coded. Is there an image somewhere here of the? I saw an image before of the cleaner. Is there an image that goes on this card of the?
Well, that's
clean?
just the code. That code is sent to send out cards.
Yeah.
But for them to get an image on the card?
Yeah, oh yeah, there is,
So,
but not in here. That's done in send out cards. We create the card in send out cards.
Okay, so you have send out cards, which is separate from Infusionsoft.
Actually,
Yep.
can I
And
just
they
show you?
actually don't talk together.
Yep,
Can
so
I
this
just show
data
you
pops
here?
out
So
and you,
campaign, this campaign name here, that's the campaign that we set up in send out cards. And so,
Wish I'd known that bigger.
so you go into send out cards and add an image
yeah,
to the actual card
yeah,
before it's sent.
yeah. So like that one, this one here is a thank you card.
Will you add an image to that campaign?
No,
No.
not
No.
there, not
No.
at that point.
The send out cards one campaign?
Yes,
Yes.
it's, yeah. So the images are put into the send out cards campaign.
Yeah.
In the send out cards platform.
So that's really what we use it for. That's the cleaner one. So that actually goes and welcomes them, tells them who their cleaner is and gives them information about them. And then this is the one that Lisa was just talking about here, which is where it's the same thing, but basically it's a different campaign, and this is where we send them the gift card and the brownies as well. And this one actually happens about 2 weeks in. So they've had a couple of cleans, and we still want to be, we don't want to be disappearing, we want to be top of mind again. So we do this again to sort of remind them. And then that's, in this campaign, that's the main place that we use it. But there are other places we do it, things like,
Do the so we do all different cards within this. Like you can see, there's all those different cards in there. So if we want them to refer someone, we send them this card here. Who do you appreciate? And then we talk about, okay, if you're happy with your cleaner, you can help them and we can help you. So if you want to refer business, your cleaner will get a payment and you will as well. So we do that as well. And then there's all.
So that goes out in a card, not an email and stuff.
Goes out in a card.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure, sure.
What happens at the stop point? How do you determine whether they've stopped being a customer and therefore
so
stopped with something?
basically when they're a customer, they have a tag customer, and when they stop being a customer, we take that tag off. So every single decision diamond there checks to see if that tag is on. And we actually did that originally, not because there was a bug with the tag goals, but because we wanted to know if people were falling out, when they were actually falling out, and so we wanted to be able to see. Was one thing actually making people not want to stay with us? You know, we wanted to be able to look at that.
What, can you take that thing away off the top corner? What's? Oh, that's just.
Yeah, there's just more of it. So these are all just different emails, you know. Are you sure you want to stay? We actually ask people, you know, are you really happy? Are you sure you want to stay with us as a cleaner?
And is that done as an email or as a
That
card?
one's an email.
Yeah.
This how are we going is an email. The referral request is a card. The just checking in is an email, and the last one is a card, I think.
Yeah, no, that's a card.
And that's all over 2 months. Do you mind if I take it?
Yeah,
Over
no,
3
that's fine.
months.
So what's happening at the bottom?
Down here, this is all internal things.
Oh.
So this is all our actions down here. This is all tagging things, and this is how we see. This is a really quick way for us to see how many customers we've got at certain points. So these people here, these actually do nothing. They just move people on after 3 months. After 3 months, so we can say, okay, since we started running this campaign, 17 people have made it through to 6 months, and that's actually for our
that's
internal stats. For the metrics that we use to see how well things are working in the business.
Does that sort of replace the dashboard? So you don't.
Well, we have things in the dashboard as well, but this is, because this campaign is all about new contracts, new customers, it's a place where we actually can see those stats there.
So what happens at the end of week? What did you say? 8 months? 8 weeks?
And this month,
3
they're
months.
paid
3
one
months?
more.
Yeah. What
Well,
happens?
they're now a customer with us, so they go into things like, we have a separate campaign that sends a Christmas card, sends a gift at Easter, things like that. So they've finished in this is our new customer campaign, and we consider somebody to be new for about 12 months.
Okay. So what happens if do you do? I'm guessing you do birthdays as well.
We do some birthdays, but we actually have difficulty getting people's birthdays from them because they don't want to tell their cleaning company when their birthday.
Okay, because I have the same, I started the same campaign and I asked the birthday but not the year.
Yeah.
I tried that in the past last year and people are more willing to just give you the date
Yeah.
without the year.
Yeah.
Not for us.
Not for
Because
the
we
cleaners.
don't care about the year either, but they're just, they're not really, they go,
We've tried phoning them, we've tried emailing
Yeah.
them, and it's just, that's not the relationship they have with us. They're not interested in having.
I mean, we have got we have got clients who are in birthday card campaigns, but not all of our clients because they just don't want to.
It's much better for us to celebrate those things like Easter and Christmas and things like that because they actually have an impact on cleaning. You know, like people are out of the office for 2 weeks and things, and so we actually think about what can we do that has an impact on the way people perceive us. Yeah. Whereas not everybody celebrates their birthday in the office with a big party that needs cleaning.
So does this have, so before you put this campaign in place, what was the retention like to get through that first 12 months?
Terrible.
And up,
It was terrible.
so you
Because
lose half
we-
of the contracts halfway through?
I wouldn't say half of them, but we didn't have any way of keeping track of them.
Oh, okay.
Since we
This is all
started,
paper.
since we, but since we
It's going
started,
to this, how many contracts dropped out now that you've gone to this?
Oh, our retention
We-
rate's way better now.
since we started using Infusionsoft and using a campaign like this, we're now, our average retention is 2 years and 2 months.
Wow.
Compared with when we started, it was about a year.
Yeah.
And I guess also if the people know their cleaners better, the cleaners are more likely to stay with you as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Exactly.
And our cleaners, they don't tend to leave, do they?
No. And it's actually as much about them and them feeling engaged as it is the customers.
You got a picture of what you said with the.
Do you know what?
can't find it.
I can't find it. I think when the Infusionsoft team came over to film it, they took a lot of our cards and all the cards that have the cleaners' photos on them, they took those. So the ones I brought here are just the generic ones that we've got.
However, Lisa, if they
I'll
all,
send you one if you like.
Lisa, if they all just sign up to your services.
Yeah, feel free. Anybody needs cleaning, I would love to have you on board. I'll send you a cleaning card. So, any other questions? And I'm sorry, I don't think I introduced Vicky Radcliffe. Vicky is my colleague at Cleancorp and an absolute mastermind of Infusionsoft. So there's nothing that she doesn't know about.
She's the engine.
She's,
say that,
yeah.
trust me.
And you'll know.
No pressure.
So is this campaign the one you presented at InfusionCon? Is this your?
An element of it. I didn't present any campaign specifically. I presented different elements of different campaigns, things that I thought other business owners would find useful for their businesses. And certainly, like for this one, the card campaign seemed to resonate with a lot of people. We do a lot of different things in a lot of different ways. And in the end, we had 30 minutes and then they chopped it down to 20 minutes. So we had to really drill it down. But this was one of them, yeah.
Now, this is one of the top, what was it, the finalists? There's 113 page.
No, there's all the best in class and
Best
there's
in
10.
class as well.
There's
I
actually
think
12. There's 12.
Lisa's alone takes up 17 pages. So.
I told you to be 40 hours tonight, right?
If you want to download, that's a donation to an organisation.
Mentors International.
Mentors International, and you get this as a free playbook download. And it tells you all about the clients and the best in class.